I'm parked outside my sister Amy's apartment, reeling from what I just saw on my security camera footage. I need to write this down to process it and confirm I'm not losing my mind. On Friday morning, I drove 3 hours to my parents' place. My boyfriend, Gordon, and I have been together for 2 years, sharing an apartment downtown for the past 8 months. My dad had surgery scheduled for Friday afternoon, and my mom needed support, so I planned to stay through Monday. Gordon said he'd stay home to catch up on work, which was fine by me since my parents' house is cramped, and he's not great with family gatherings. On Thursday night, he mentioned possibly having friends over on Saturday to watch sports. I told him that was fine, just clean up afterward. He laughed, saying, "Of course, babe, I'm not a slob." Famous last words. I left for my parents Friday morning, and everything seemed normal. Gordon texted me Friday night, asking about my dad's surgery and saying he missed me. Saturday morning, he sent a sweet "good morning, I love you" text. That afternoon, while I was helping my mom cook, my phone pinged with a message from Jocelyn, my neighbor across the hall. Her text read, "Hey, not trying to overstep, but there's been a lot of people coming and going from your apartment today. Just checking if everything's okay." I replied that Gordon was hosting friends for a sports day, no big deal. She responded, "Okay, just wanted to make sure because I saw several women go in earlier." Several women, I froze. I asked Jocelyn what she meant by several, and she said she saw 4 or 5 women throughout the day. I texted Gordon, casually asking how the guys' hangout was going. He replied, "Just chilling, watching the game. Pretty relaxed, while multiple women were apparently parading through our apartment." I asked Jocelyn if she was certain about the women, and she confirmed, offering to send me her doorbell camera footage. I told her to send it. She sent 3 clips, and I watched them in my parents' kitchen while my mom chopped carrots, unaware my world was collapsing. The first clip, Saturday at 2 p.m., showed 2 unfamiliar women entering our building. A blonde in a tight dress and a brunette in a crop top and jeans, dressed more for a night out than a casual sports gathering. The second clip, around 4 p.m., showed 3 more women arriving, all decked out like they were heading to a club, one carrying a bottle of tequila. The third clip at 6 p.m. showed the same women leaving and returning with more people, including guys I didn't know. I called Gordon immediately. Loud music and shouting filled the background when he answered. I asked what was happening, and he said, "What do you mean?" I said it sounded like a party. He brushed it off, saying a few extra people showed up, but it was still chill. I asked about the women, and he denied it, saying, "What women?" I told him Jocelyn saw multiple women entering our apartment. He got defensive, insisting she must be mistaken because it was just guys. I mentioned the video footage, and he claimed she was recording the wrong apartment. I asked him to FaceTime me right then, but he said his phone was dying. I told him to charge it and call back. He said he'd do it later and hung up. My sister Amy, who was also at my parents' for the weekend, saw my expression and demanded to know what was wrong. I showed her the videos, and she immediately said, "Oh, no way. We're going to your apartment now." My mom suggested it might be innocent and to trust Gordon, but Amy was already grabbing her car keys. We left at 6 a.m. Sunday, telling my mom we'd return the next weekend since Dad was recovering well. The 3-hour drive was filled with Amy ranting about what she'd say to Gordon if he was cheating. I kept hoping there was an explanation. We reached my apartment at 9:15 a.m. Sunday, and when I opened the door, the stench hit me: booze, perfume, and general filth. The living room was a disaster. Empty bottles scattered everywhere, cups on every surface, couch cushions on the floor. A black lace bra, not mine, was draped over my TV. Amy walked in and gasped, "What in the world?" We stood there, taking in the chaos. The kitchen was worse. More bottles, pizza boxes, a single high heel on the counter next to what looked like spilled wine, and a sink overflowing with dishes and plastic cups. Gordon was passed out in our bedroom, fully clothed, thankfully, but reeking of alcohol and perfume. I woke him and he blinked, confused, then panicked when he saw me. "Babe, why are you here?" he mumbled. I demanded to know what happened to our apartment. He rubbed his eyes and said, "Yeah, sorry, it got a bit wild last night." I pointed out the bra on the TV, the high heel, the perfume stench. He claimed ignorance, saying, "I don't know, maybe someone brought their girlfriend." I reminded him he said it was just guys. He backtracked, saying it was mostly guys, and maybe a few people brought dates, but it wasn't a big deal. Amy was in the living room, snapping photos of the mess. Gordon saw her and asked what she was doing. She replied, "Documenting evidence of you being a lying cheater." He got defensive, telling her not to be dramatic. I went to the bathroom and found unfamiliar makeup on my sink. Brands I don't use, a lipstick I'd never seen, hair ties that weren't mine. I marched back to the bedroom, holding them up, and asked Gordon to explain. He paled and stammered that they might have been there before or someone used the bathroom. Amy shouted from the living room for me to come see something. She was holding a purple lace thong she'd found wedged between couch cushions. Definitely not mine. I confronted Gordon, asking how women's underwear ended up in our living room if no women were there. He claimed maybe his friend Landon brought someone, and things got out of control, but he wasn't involved. I told him to leave me alone while I cleaned and thought things over. He tried to hug me, and I pushed him away, gagging at the perfume on him. Amy and I spent 3 hours cleaning, finding more evidence. Fake eyelashes on the bathroom floor, a hair extension in the kitchen, a phone number scrawled in lipstick on my mirror. Gordon kept coming in, apologizing for the mess but insisting nothing happened with anyone. Amy finally told him to shut up and leave so we could finish. He sulked on the porch, and I overheard him on the phone, likely with a friend, saying, "My girlfriend came home early and is freaking out over nothing." Nothing. Then I remembered our living room security camera, which Gordon knows about but probably forgot since he's terrible with tech. It records to the cloud, accessible from my phone. I opened the app and scrolled to Saturday. The footage made me sick. At 2 p.m., Gordon and his friends Landon, Carl, and Anthony were drinking and watching sports, as he'd said. At 2:30 p.m., the blonde and brunette from Jocelyn's video walked in, immediately cozying up to Gordon, sitting on his lap, touching his hair. He was laughing, drinking, clearly enjoying it. By 5 p.m., the apartment had 15 people, and it was a full-blown party. Gordon was dancing with various women, kissing the blonde on our couch, disappearing into the kitchen with the brunette, their flirting audible. By 7 p.m., the lights were dimmed, but the camera caught Gordon making out with a redhead I didn't know, his hands all over her. At 9 p.m., Gordon and his friends were doing shots in the kitchen while the women danced in the living room. I heard Gordon say, "My girlfriend is so dumb she'll never find out." His friends laughed. Carl warned, "You're playing with fire," and Gordon replied, "Nah, she trusts me completely. She's oblivious." Landon asked what if someone tells her, and Gordon said, "Who's gonna tell? Everyone here knows to stay quiet." Anthony pointed out the random women, and Gordon said, "They don't know who I am or where I live after tonight." Then he said something that made me gasp aloud, with Amy watching over my shoulder. "Honestly, I'm just keeping her around until I find someone better. She's my fallback." Fallback. Amy rewound the clip, and we watched it 3 times, Gordon calling me dumb, saying he's waiting for someone better, treating me like a placeholder. The footage continued. Gordon taking women into our bedroom, emerging 20 minutes later adjusting his clothes, different women using the bathroom, people doing shots off each other. This went on until 4 a.m. when Gordon passed out. I saved every clip, backing them up in 3 places with Amy's help. Gordon came inside around 2 p.m. wanting to talk. I let him, and he apologized for the party getting out of hand, swearing nothing happened with anyone, that the women were other people's guests. I asked him to swear on our relationship, and he looked me in the eyes, saying, "I swear I was faithful." I nodded, saying I believed him. His face brightened, and he rambled about how he knew I'd understand, that we were fine, that he loved me. I told him I was still upset about the mess and lies, but we could work through it. He hugged me, thanking me for trusting him, while I thought about him calling me oblivious. Amy gave me a look like I'd lost it. I texted her, "I have a plan, just trust me." She looked skeptical but stayed quiet. Gordon spent Sunday making it up to me, ordering my favorite takeout, cleaning the rest of the mess, apologizing repeatedly. I played along, asking about his weekend, and he spun a story about just the guys watching games, a few extra people showing up all low-key. Every word was a lie, and I had proof he didn't know about. Monday morning, he went to work, kissing me goodbye, saying he loved me. I said it back, watched him leave, and started planning. Update: the last 2 weeks have been an exhausting act, and I need to share how Gordon's world imploded spectacularly. I'm at Amy's, watching it unfold. Monday, I went to work, spending my lunch break strategizing. I saved all the security footage to a USB drive, giving copies to Amy and my college friend Joanna. I told them to keep the copies safe in case anything happened to mine. Amy asked my plan, and I said I wasn't sure yet but wouldn't confront Gordon until everything was ready. She wanted me to dump him immediately, but I said I needed to be calculated. He thinks I'm clueless, so I'd use that. Monday night, Gordon came home with flowers, saying he felt awful about the mess and wanted to make it right. I thanked him, put the flowers in a vase, and acted normal. We ate dinner, watched TV, and he was overly affectionate while I smiled, picturing him kissing that redhead. Tuesday morning, Gordon forgot his phone on the nightstand. He messaged from work, asking me to bring it during lunch. I agreed but checked it first. I know his passcode since he's never been secretive. In a group chat with Landon, Carl, and Anthony labeled Guys Weekend, I found messages from Saturday. Anthony wrote, "This party's insane," and Gordon replied, "I know, it's epic." Carl sent a photo of 2 women dancing, and Gordon commented, "The blonde is fire." At 8 p.m., Landon warned, "Delete these before your girl sees." Gordon responded, "Lol, she's not clever enough to check my phone." Anthony said, "You're risking it," and Gordon replied, "I've got this. She believes everything." I screenshotted everything, messages, photos, all of it, uploading them to my cloud. Tuesday night, I made Gordon's favorite dinner. He was thrilled, saying how lucky he was to have me, how other guys envied him. I smiled, knowing I'd read him call me not clever enough. Wednesday, I called the landlord about removing Gordon from the lease. She said both parties must agree to break it, or one could take it over with the other's signature. I said I'd take full responsibility and pay any fees. She said I'd need Gordon's signature. I asked when the lease ends. August, 7 months away. Breaking it early costs 3 months' rent, $4,500, which I didn't have. I called my mom, who offered to loan it immediately. My dad said he always knew Gordon was trouble and was proud of me for being smart. Wednesday night, Gordon suggested dinner out at our favorite fancy restaurant. I agreed, and he was charming, holding my hand, talking about our future. He mentioned wanting to look at houses to buy together. I nearly choked, asking why the sudden interest. He said he was ready for the next step to make things official. I smiled, saying we'd discuss it later, thinking of him calling me his fallback. Thursday, I met Joanna for coffee. She works in PR and asked what outcome I wanted. I said I wanted Gordon to face consequences for treating me like trash. I showed her the footage and she said, "He's finished." She helped me create a timeline with timestamps and notes on the videos. Friday, while Gordon was at work, I started packing subtly, separating my belongings, photographing everything, listing what I'd take. I called Amy, asking to stay with her temporarily. She said her spare room was mine, insisting I take her bedroom while she took the couch. I argued, but she said Gordon treated me terribly, so I deserved it. Friday night, I suggested a cozy night in. Gordon agreed and we ordered pizza, watched a movie. He fell asleep with his head in my lap, and I stared at him, wondering how he could lie so effortlessly. Saturday, Gordon asked about weekend plans. I suggested something fun for just us. He proposed an arcade bar we love. We went, played games, drank, and he posted a photo of us on Instagram, captioning it about how lucky he was. Friends commented couple goals, and Landon wrote, "When's the wedding?" Gordon replied, "Soon, hopefully," with a ring emoji. I added a heart emoji, liking the comments, knowing what these friends watched him do. Monday, I spoke to a lawyer about shared items. She said to take anything I could prove was mine and document everything. I showed her my list and she approved. Tuesday night, Gordon suggested browsing engagement rings online. I said I thought we were focusing on houses, and he said, "Why not both?" We looked at rings, him asking my preferences while I gave vague answers, crumbling inside. Wednesday, Amy came over while Gordon was at work. We moved my essentials, laptop, documents, clothes, to her place, things he wouldn't notice missing. She asked when I'd act, and I said Saturday after Landon's party. Wednesday night, Gordon cooked dinner, a rare gesture with candles and music, saying he just loved me. I asked why the special treatment, and he said no reason. He got on one knee and I panicked, thinking he was proposing, but he just tied my loose shoelace, laughing, "Gotcha." I forced a laugh, heart pounding. Thursday, I finalized everything. Signed lease takeover forms, got the check from my parents, packed suitcases into my car trunk, and created a folder with all evidence. That night, Gordon wanted to discuss our future, saying he wanted to marry me, asking if I'd say yes to a proposal. I said I loved him and it sounded perfect while planning his downfall. Friday, he came home with flowers and wine, suggesting a nice dinner before Landon's party. We cooked and he was sweet, saying he couldn't live without me. I said he'd never have to, smiling. Saturday morning, I took final photos of our apartment, our shared life. Gordon woke up asking what I was doing. I said cleaning. He hugged me, excited for Landon's party. I dressed up and he kept saying how stunning I was. At the party, it was couples, as he'd said. Landon and Beatrice, Carl and Ivy, Anthony Solo, plus others. It was normal until I went to the bathroom and overheard Gordon in Landon's room, door ajar. He was telling Landon and Carl about texting Ashley, planning to meet her without me knowing. Carl warned he'd get caught, but Gordon said, "Last weekend was fine, I handled it. She doesn't suspect anything." Landon called him crazy and Gordon said, "She's too trusting, I'm being extra sweet so she'll buy anything." Anthony joined, asking about Ashley, and Gordon said he wanted to hook up, but timing was tricky. They laughed, calling him terrible, and he said, "Terrible but smart. I keep her happy while having fun." I stood there, hearing my boyfriend plan to cheat again while I was nearby. I returned to the living room, walked up to Gordon, and said we needed to leave. He asked why, and I said I felt sick. He was annoyed but made excuses to leave. In the car, he asked what was wrong, and I said to drop me at Amy's, I needed space. He got defensive, but I insisted. He dropped me off at 8 p.m., tried to come in, but I refused. He drove off looking hurt. I texted Amy our code word, "Showtime." At 9 p.m., we sent the evidence package, videos, texts, my statement, to Gordon's friends, coworkers, family, my family, our mutual friends. I changed my Facebook status to single, posting the footage with, "This is what my boyfriend did while I was with my sick dad, then lied for 2 weeks while planning to do it again. Thought I was too dumb to notice. Guess again?" My phone blew up with messages and calls. Gordon called at 9:15 p.m., leaving voicemails demanding I call back. At 10 p.m., he banged on Amy's door, yelling. Amy threatened to call the police, and he left. Final update: Saturday night was chaos after I posted everything, and the last 3 days have been wild. Gordon lost it completely. My phone was flooded with messages from friends, family, and coworkers. My mom called, tearfully proud. My dad said if Gordon came near me, he'd regret it. Joanna said the videos were going viral, with Gordon getting shredded online. Gordon's mom, Alana, texted, upset I'd humiliated him publicly. His brother, Charles, claimed I was ruining his reputation over a misunderstanding. Landon said I was vindictive and Gordon was a mess. I ignored them all. By 11 p.m., Gordon deleted his Facebook and Instagram accounts and left the group chat. Sunday morning, I had 43 missed calls and 17 voicemails from him. Early ones were angry, demanding I call back. By 1 a.m., he was crying, begging to explain. At 4 a.m., he said his mom was furious, his brother thought he was disgusting, and Landon's girlfriend, Beatrice, was mad, causing tension with Landon. He blamed me for ruining his life by overreacting. Amy made me delete his number to avoid temptation, though I admitted I knew it by heart. She said we'd change my number. Sunday noon, Gordon showed up at Amy's, ringing the doorbell repeatedly. Amy said I wasn't there, but he pointed out my car. She told him to leave, threatening police. He yelled about needing to explain, but left after her warning. I watched him sit in his car in the lot for 2 hours. I texted Jocelyn, who said Gordon's car wasn't at our apartment. She apologized for doubting the women were there and offered support. Sunday afternoon, my parents arrived at Amy's. My mom brought food, my dad boxes. We planned to move my stuff Sunday evening, assuming Gordon was at his mom's. At 6 p.m., the apartment was empty of Gordon's car but smelled of alcohol, with beer bottles and the TV on. We packed quickly. At 8 p.m., Gordon walked in, freezing when he saw us. He asked what I was doing, and I said moving out. He argued we lived there together, but I said I was done. He asked my dad for privacy, but my dad refused, citing Gordon's betrayal. Gordon insisted we talk alone. I refused, listing his cheating, lying, and calling me a fallback. He claimed I took his words out of context, but I pointed out the video evidence. He accused me of invading his privacy by recording and checking his phone. I countered that he violated our relationship. He denied cheating, saying kissing wasn't sex. My mom snapped, telling him not to justify it with technicalities. Gordon pleaded for forgiveness, saying relationships require it. I said 2 weeks of lies after cheating wasn't one mistake. He blamed my overreaction for his ruined life, friends ghosting him, his mom disappointed, coworkers judging. I said maybe humiliation would teach him not to disrespect others. He begged for a chance, but I said I'd never trust him again. He called me cold, saying most women would work through it. I said I wasn't most women. My dad warned him not to contact me. Gordon followed us out, pleading, but I didn't look back. Monday, I told the landlord I was breaking the lease. She confirmed the paperwork and check, needing Gordon's signature. I texted him from Amy's phone, arranging to meet at Starbucks Tuesday. He wanted to talk, but I insisted on just the papers. Monday night, Beatrice messaged, apologizing, saying she and Ivy were disgusted and had distanced themselves from Gordon. Tuesday at Starbucks, Gordon signed the papers after demanding 30 minutes to talk. He apologized, offering counseling, transparency, and cutting off friends. I said trust was broken irreparably. He called me unfair, but I stood firm and left. Wednesday, the landlord confirmed I was off the lease. Thursday, Ashley messaged, unaware Gordon had a girlfriend, and apologized. That night at 4 a.m., Gordon banged on Amy's door, screaming about his ruined life, begging me to delete the videos. Amy called the police, who escorted him away, warning of arrest if he returned. Landon texted, saying Gordon was with his mom, falling apart, and suggested I remove the videos. I ignored him. It's Saturday and I'm at Amy's looking for my own place. Gordon hasn't contacted me since Thursday. My phone is full of support from friends and coworkers. I'm 26, single, rebuilding after 2 years with someone who saw me as a fallback. But I'm okay, stronger than okay. I'm not dumb or oblivious. I'm smart enough to gather evidence, strategic enough to plan my exit, and strong enough to leave someone who didn't value me.